Welcome to Lesson 5. User research is a critical aspect of user-centered design process, which we've talked about in some other lessons. Conducting user research involves gathering data and insights about the user to inform the design of the digital product. Here are some key steps to consider when conducting user research. 1. Identify your research goals. Identify your research goals. The first step in conducting user research is to identify your research goals. This involves defining the questions you want to answer, the types of data you want to collect, and the methods you would use to collect that data. So you first need to identify your research goals. What are the goals you want to achieve at the end of the day with this research? Do you want to know if users are more concerned about the aesthetics of a particular product or about the overall experience of a particular product? This will help you tailor your questions in regards to surveys in a way and manner that the users will be able to answer them. 2. Choose your research method. There are a variety of research methods available, including what we've discussed earlier: surveys, interviews, observations, and focus groups. Choose the research method that best fits your research goals and the type of data you want to collect. So there are certain times you must have come across WhatsApp surveys on WhatsApp. And I'm very sure a lot of you must have seen that and didn't know until now that those were surveys or research is being conducted by WhatsApp to get certain feedbacks from their users, being you and I. And so, what has WhatsApp done? They ask certain strategic questions and they give you options in some cases, and they leave it open in a fewer cases for you to feel, for them to understand how you're being using a particular feature, or how do you see a particular feature coming up in the future. So choose your research methods and tailor it to the goals of the research you want to get at the end of the day. Recruit participants. Once you have chosen your research method, you will need to recruit participants to take part in the research. Depending on the research method you've gone with, this may involve recruiting participants online, in person, or through social media. So there are certain projects such as social impact projects that you may want to design in the future, that you may need to speak to certain people in person to learn about certain things that are bothering them in that regard. 4. Conduct the research. Conduct the research by administering surveys, and surveys are built up with certain questions that you have tailored to the goals that you want to gain from that research. Conducting interviews, observing users, or running focus groups, it's important to follow the research plan and be flexible when needed to ensure you are collecting the most relevant data. Now, I will need to add that you can use several methods for your research in one project. You don't need to stick to a particular method of research. So you may start with running surveys and then go next to actually conducting interviews and then having focus groups, and all of this can be done in the research phase of that particular product. So be flexible and don't stick to a particular style, and you definitely will get out more data at the end of the day. Let's look at more. Analyze the data. Once you have collected the data, analyze it to identify patterns, themes, and insights. This can involve using software to analyze survey data or manually coding and analyzing quantitative data. 4 or 5. Use the insights to inform design. Use the insight gained from the research to inform the design of the digital product. For example, if the research reveals that users struggle with a particular feature of the product, use that insight to improve the design of that feature. Now, I'd like you to know that research is not only done at the beginning of the product, but can also be done towards the end of the product. So have this at the back of your mind and always run research to ensure that you're in line with the goals of the users. Iterate and test. User research is an iterative process, so it's important to test and refine the design based on user feedback. Repeat the research process as needed to continue improving the design. Now, when you hear of iterations, it's basically saying we're making adjustments or we're making corrections to a particular feature or a particular screen or a particular product entirely. All right, so iterations is more like, if you're coming from a brand designer perspective, it's more like the client telling you to go back to the drawing board and actually look at the processes that you've taken for a particular solution and adding more adjustment to it. So it's more like having the design one, design has been done, design has been finally done, and design has been finally done. I'm sure you must have seen this online, and that's what we call iteration. So you go back to make adjustments that would fit the goals of the users at the end of the day. Remember, no one is an island, so you have to always keep an open mind to whatever reviews or criticism that you will get at the end of the day. In summary, conducting user research is a critical part of the design process that helps ensure digital products are designed with the user in mind. By following these key steps, designers can gather valuable data and insights to inform the design of effective, engaging, and useful products. Now, useful should always be underlined on your notes, and I hope you're taking notes. And if you're not, please grab a note and start taking notes, because you will need this very soon. I'll see you very soon.